Wire News, and I'm talking with Maggie from Hewlett-Packard, who's one of the presenters here at the forum. What are you going to be presenting on?
I help companies create their own green IT action plan for printing.
Well, you know, when we came by and saw your booth, we were really kind of captured. What captured my attention was this tremendous pile of cartridges, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But it looks like you're very proud of two other things that are in the booth here.
Yes, we have a carbon footprint calculator for printing, and if you look over here, I don't know if we can actually demo it at all, but if you go to hp.com/go/carbon footprint, you can actually do a side-by-side analysis of your older printing device and compare it to a new one to see what energy, cost, carbon footprint are associated with those two printers.
We were kidding around earlier. I was talking about I have a LaserJet 4, which is quite an older printer. I tend to be a little bit lazy. I leave that printer on almost all the time, and it turns out that that's having maybe more of an impact than what I had first imagined.
Yes, it does, and I'm going to show you right now how we use the tool.
Okay.
So I put in Nevada since we're in Las Vegas here today, and then I chose a printer that you could replace your device that you have, the LaserJet 4, and what would be a good comparable device that you could buy now. And then again, I choose a LaserJet because that's what you had. And now let's choose the, is it a 4MV, a 4M, a 4 Plus?
It's a 4SI, I believe.
4SI.
I don't see it. 4 Plus, I think, is pretty close to it.
Okay, let's choose a 4 Plus, and then I'll click on Next. And what you see here, I'm going to change it to 1 year, just so you can see 1 year. So the difference between an older device, which is what you have, and a newer device is quite substantial. And you can see the carbon associated with the older device is high as well. And look at the page difference. So you get a device that's much faster.
Oh, 12 pages per minute is the old device, and the new one is 35.
Mm-hmm.
And this reminds me, because it's kind of a similar ages, of refrigerators, which kind of sneak up as energy thieves.
Yes. And so if you do have an older device, just especially if you have it at home like you do, is just turn it off when you're not using it at night, or in any way. Some power save modes are important. And the older technology, that's an older device. You'll need to think about refreshing it, because the ROI is pretty good if you look at the energy.
So now let's scale this up. Let's say that you have hundreds of older printers of various ages scattered throughout the enterprise, and you've got a problem, but how do you quantify that? How do you build the business case to do the right thing from an environmental standpoint?
That's a great question. Can we move to another area of the booth?
Let's head on to the next area here.
Come this way.
Okay.
This is one of the things you'll use, and this is the comprehensive printer evaluation. And so you can actually build a baseline of your existing fleet and then compare it to a future state. And then, so this is something you'd go back to. But let me take you over here.
Okay. And now this was hp.com go, and what was the
hp.com/go/carbon footprint.
Carbon footprint. That's where you can find the calculator. But now where are we headed now?
This is the Green IT Action Plan. And so a lot of times people go, we're really ready to green our printing. We think there's a lot of opportunity there. What can we do? How can I plan for it? And so what we've done is we've created a dynamic PDF, which means that there's embedded documents in it, embedded templates. And this is a step-by-step guide that you could use as your template and how-to guide, if you will, to create your own Green IT action plan for printing to help reduce those energy costs, reduce the paper consumption, figure out ways to recycle responsibility, and then get that organization to buy into it. And so this is what I'm speaking about while I'm here.
Okay. So is this something that you have developed over some period of time then?
Yes, and it all came from a lot of work that was done by Chris Mines and the association called Forrester. They had a green IT plan for overall IT, and I said, well, you know what, there's a lot of opportunity in printing. They touch on it in that document, but let's really focus in on this. And so we created this document, and it's been a very great tool to use together with the carbon footprint calculator, because what we do is we tell people that the first step you really need to do is assess your enterprise and understand where you are today. Because if you don't know where you are today, how can you plan for tomorrow?
If people start out with good intentions, what's the most common mistake that they make in addressing this topic?
That's a great question. I think that scoping the project appropriately would be a place where you might misstep. For example, if you're a very large organization, it's difficult to analyze the entire fleet. So what we recommend is that you take scope your project, start with a pilot project, and then a phased approach and roll that out.
So do people tend to be more optimistic than what's actually possible, or do they tend to be pleasantly surprised once they go through the analysis?
I think they tend to. Well, I think it varies really, but when they understand that there's a lot of opportunity for improvement, and when they go through the steps to see where they are at and where they need to go, I think that they are very pleasantly surprised by both the cost reduction and the environmental impact reduction.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that caught my attention when we came up to the booth was this large cylinder of ink cartridges, and it seems like there's so much material that goes into that. What happens when you recycle a cartridge?
Well, let's go and take a look. I'm going to actually take you around to this one.
Well, here's our big pile of cartridges, and as I said, this, about this much of it looks like a part of my basement.
Yeah, well, what we do is HP Original Inkjet cartridges go to one of our recycling facilities where they're dismantled and shredded, and what we do is we take the plastic resin from the inkjet cartridges, and we have a new process, and we call it a closed loop process, where some of our inkjet cartridges are actually added with some peat plastic resin and added with a little bit of magic, I call it, but it's not, it's a very complicated chemical kind of technology that they've created to create a closed loop process and create another inkjet cartridge from an original HP cartridge. So closing that loop.
So what percentage of it is actually recycled cartridges, and what's the PET? Are these representative proportions here?
No, I don't think these are representative portions. I don't have that answer for you, but we could get it.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to look at another
Okay.
picture of what we have and can create with the things that we recycle is, this just gives you an example of, these are the new cartridges, right? But it started here with empty print cartridges. They get shredded, and then this is the plastic and the water bottle plastic, and then the plastic resin, and then there you go.
Yeah.
So that's the circle of life, if you will. But other cartridges get recycled, and they get made into different things like these pots, and some plastic is actually recycled for things like that desk jet printer.
Well, Maggie, thanks so much for giving us some insight here at HP and the effort to reduce carbon footprint and be a green enterprise all around. Hope you have a good show.
Thank you very much.